The Toyota Carina is an automobile which was manufactured by Toyota from December 1970 to December 2001. It was introduced as a sedan counterpart of the Celica, with which it originally shared a platform. Later, it was realigned to the Corona platform, but retained its performance image, with distinctive bodywork and interior aimed at the youth market and remaining exclusive to Japanese Toyota dealerships' Toyota store. It was replaced in Japan by the Toyota Allion in 2001 and succeeded in Europe by the Toyota Avensis. The inspiration for the name Carina came from the constellation Carina, sharing a naming inspiration with the Celica, which is ultimately derived from the Latin word coelica meaning heavenly or celestial. The first generation Carina was manufactured from December 1970, and sold at Toyota store dealership channels in Japan, sharing its platform with the Toyota Celica Sports Coupe. Its European release took place in October 1971. Toyota was able to save development and tooling costs by building a family sedan and a sports car on the same platform and in the same factory. The Carina was a junior sedan and coupe to the larger Crown, and was similar size to the Corona. Features included reclining seats with built-in head restraints, radio, clock, reversing lights, and servo assistance on the brakes. In 1971, the Carina 1600 GT Coupe was introduced as an alternative to the Corona 1600 GT, using a 2TG Type 1600 DOHC engine shared with the Celica GT. The Corona 1600 GT was exclusive to Toyota store locations. The Carina 1600 GT was exclusive to Toyota store locations, and the Celica GT was exclusive to Toyota Corolla store locations. The chassis code was A10, with A15, 17, and 18 being reserved for hardtop coupes. Excepting the anomalous RA16 hardtop, A16 and 19 were used on vans, utility wagons. Beginning in 1975, a 30 series numbers were used for some hardtop coupes. The wagon/vans of the first generation were not regularly exported. Carina vans entered production in December 1975. The A10 Carina was also exported to the US, its introduction and disappointing sales coinciding with the introduction of a 10% import duty. Cars destined for export were increasingly directed to European and other markets. US exports stopped after only 2 years, and Toyota continued its plans to manufacture in the USA. The original model usually featured a choice of a 1,407 cubic centimeters OHV, T, or 1,588 cubic centimeters OHV, 2T, engine, choice of a 4-speed manual gearbox, 2-speed automatic gearbox or 3-speed automatic gearbox and front-wheel disc brakes, drum brakes on the lowest model. It was revised in 1972 with a restyled body, new rear light cluster, filler cap repositioned in the rear quarter panel, restyled front grille and fascia. The specification was once again revised in 1974 including sealed cooling system, improved brakes, restyled wheels with flared wheel arches, and restyled interior fittings. In late October 1975, on sale November 1, the Carina received a new front and rear end styling, dual-line braking system with servo, and a repositioned handbrake and gear lever in a modified dashboard. The wheelbase and tread were increased slightly, as for the sister Celica series. Some chassis codes were accordingly changed, and the Japanese market cars received a plethora of altered engines, ranging from 1.4 to 2.0 liters. Vehicles installed with engines with displacement at 1.5 liters or larger obligated Japanese owners to pay more annual road tax, and were considered top trim level packaged cars. Toyota introduced the TTCV, Toyota Total Clean Vortex, on the 19R engine only, using an exhaust gas recirculation implementation to comply with recently enacted emission regulations passed by the Japanese government. The 1.4 was dropped from sedans and coupes, and a mid-range 1.8 was added at the time of the late 1975 facelift. In December 1975 a van version was developed, featuring the same facelift front end. The new rear end uses the cargo door of the 30 series Corolla wagon. The Carina van also received a very unusual opera-style side window in the cargo area, and was available with the 1400 or 1600 TJ/2 TJ engines with 80 or 93 PS, 59 or 68 kilowatts. The Carina van was generally not exported. The van's TA16V/TA19V chassis codes continued to be used for the next generation van, which used the same rear axle and wheelbase, until the van was facelifted again in August 1979. To bring these models in line with the second generation Carina, they then received a new TA49 chassis code. Released in Japan August 1977, the next generation Carina was available in Germany in December 1977 and in other European countries during 1978. The chassis was mostly the same as that of the facelift late Carinas of the first generation. The van versions actually continued to use the old TA16/19 chassis codes in spite of receiving the new bodywork, as they retained the old van's underpinnings. In most markets, Carinas were fitted with the same 1588 cubic centimeters 2T engine as its predecessor. In the Carina, an output of 75 PS, 55 kilowatts, 74 HP, din was claimed. The option of automatic transmission was new to many export markets. Japanese actor Sonny Chiba was the spokesman for the Carina in Japanese commercials for several decades. An estate car model was introduced to export markets for the first time, with the same heavy-duty leaf spring rear suspension that had been seen on the late-appearing first-generation Carina van, as it was intended for commercial use in Japan. In 1980, all models had revised front and rear end styling and headlights, and also received improved interiors. The following year, saloon and coupe models, but not the estate, were fitted with 5-speed gearboxes as standard, still with optional automatic transmissions. Starting with this generation, fuel injection was available optionally on top-level models. In November 1977, the 3TU 1800 cubic centimeters engine emissions are updated. In May 1978, the GT 1600 cubic centimeters was added, and a 3-speed automatic transmission became available. The 1600 GT2 TGEU engine was made to comply with the Showa 53, 1978, emissions regulation, while output improved from 110 PS, 81 kilowatts, 108 HP, to 115 PS, 85 kilowatts, 113 HP. The options list was updated to include a urethane bumper for impact improvement. In September 1978, the 3TEU engine, 1770 cubic centimeters OHVEFI, was installed in the STEFI and SREFI models, initially only with a 5-speed manual. At the same time, the 2000 GT with DOHC 18R GU and the 18R GEU EFI engine, fit 1978 exhaust emission regulations, as did the 18RU and 21RU engines. The emblem was changed to Toyota from Toyota Carina. The 2000 GT hardtop coupe shared a platform with the Celica, which gave Toyota the ability to sell the Celica at a different Japanese Toyota dealership called Toyota Store, as the Celica was exclusive to Toyota Corolla store locations. In August 1979, the front of the vehicle received a major change that now included 4 headlamp lights rather than the previous setup, with the van remaining with 4 round lamps. The rear received a changed license plate mounting to give it a new style. 3TEU and 21RU engines were now available with the 4-speed automatic transmission. These two, along with the 18R GEU, were now the only engines offered in Japan. The rear suspension became of the semi-trailing type, becoming the A50 series Carina in the process. The Super Deluxe 2-door sedan was discontinued, as was the 1400 van. The 1600 van received the 12TJ engine and the option of an automatic transmission, along with a chassis code now in line with the remainder of the Carina range, TA49V. As of August 1980, the EFI specification 1800 hardtop, STEFI, SREFI, was the only engine offered in the sedan/coupes. Toyota utilized the A40/A50 series Carina as the basis for the Celica Camry, a four-door sports sedan launched in Japan during January 1980, and sold at Toyota Corolla store dealerships. It was a companion to the Carina, which was exclusive to Toyota store locations. Positioned as the sedan counterpart to the Toyota Celica, A40 and A50, two-door coupe and three-door liftback, the Celica Camry shared few components with this model. Instead, Toyota altered the front end of its Carina, incorporating styling cues resembling those of the 1978 to 1981 Celica XX, known as the Celica Supra in export markets. From August 1980, the Celica Camry also went on sale through Toyota's recently introduced Vista dealership chain. Powered by either a 1.6-liter 12 TU engine producing 88 PS, 65 kilowatts, JIS and 128 Nm, 94 lb-ft, or a 1.8-liter 13 TU engine producing 95 PS, 70 kilowatts, and 147 Nm, 108 lb-ft, Toyota also offered a fuel-injected 1.8-liter, 105 PS or 77 kilowatts, and a 2.0-liter, 21 Ru, with producing the same power. Towards the end of its model life cycle, Toyota introduced a sports version of the Celica Camry equipped with the double overhead cams half 2.0-liter 18 RGEU engine from the Celica producing 135 PS, 99 kilowatts. It has an identical 2,500 mm, 98 in, wheelbase to the Celica and Carina, while all three models, as well as the Corona, have near identical exterior dimensions. During its model cycle, over 100,000 units were sold in Japan. The Celica Camry was also exported to a number of markets using the Carina name, replacing the front-end styling of the second-generation Carina in these markets. These export market hybrids used a different rear-end design and were also available with station wagon bodywork. The performance image of the Celica Camry was shared with the Toyota Chaser, which was exclusive to Toyota Auto Store Japanese dealerships. In its third incarnation, the Carina followed the fashion of the time with a still more angular overall look and four square headlights. The coupe was no longer a hardtop and was updated with halogen rectangular headlights, which were also installed on the Carina Surf wagon, and were used in export, while the Carina van received twin, round headlamps set in a black plastic surround. The car followed its predecessors in retaining a front-engine rear-wheel drive configuration, even though by then competitor manufacturers were following a trend of switching to front-wheel drive in this class. The third generation was first released 2 months after the related Celica, in September 1981, and was the last Carina to use rear-wheel drive. More precise rack and pinion steering replaced the recirculating ball used in previous generations. The A60 Carina used a McPherson struts up front and a 5-link, solid rear axle, except for the more powerful, fuel-injected versions which have independent, semi-trailing arm, suspension at the rear. The RWD Corona shared its chassis with this vehicle, when it was updated the succeeding year. The Carina was famously used by private teams racing for Japan in the Dakar Rally in the two-wheel drive class for both 1981 and 1982. The Carina managed to achieve 4 championships in the marathon class divisions. In February 1982, a 5-door wagon series based on the van was added, marketed as the Carina Surf SA60G, in Japan. In export markets, wagons had been available since the introduction of the van model. The 1C diesel engine was also added to the lineup at this time. This 1,839 cubic centimeters unit had a claimed output of 65 PS, 48 kilowatts, at 4,500 RPM and was offered in markets where fuel pricing and availability rendered it appropriate. This engine was available to European buyers, along with the 75 PS, 55 kilowatts, 2T, 1.6, and 86 PS, 63 kilowatts, 3T or 80 PS, 59 kilowatts, 3TC, 1.8, petrol engines. The European Carinas all received the independent rear suspension reserved for higher-end models in Japan, although the station wagon retained a live rear axle. Introduced in Europe for 1982, the rear-wheel drive Carina was typically replaced by the Carina 2 in early 1984. The Japanese market 1800 SE had power windows, and an 1800 SE Extra Edition trim level was added in June 1982. In May 1982, the better-equipped 1500 SE trim level was added. In October 1982, the turbo DOHC engine, 3TG TEU 1770 cubic centimeters and 160 PS, 118 kilowatts, in the Touring Super Coupe trim level, with the GTTR trim level was added. Celica and Corona were released with the same power plant simultaneously. Conversely, the 18R GEU engine 2000 GT hardtop coupe was no longer available, and was replaced by the next generation Carina ED 4-door hardtop in 1985. In May 1983, minor changes were done to the whole range, excepting the vans. Power mirrors were added, while the front grille and the tail lights were redesigned. The 1600 GT Sports model replaced the 2T GEU engine with the all-new 4A GEU engine, also a 1600 cubic centimeters DOHC unit but now with 16 valves. The 3T EU engine was no longer offered. In August 1983, a series of minor changes to the Carina van took place. The 12TJ 1600 cubic centimeters OHV engine was replaced with the lighter and more economical 1.5-liter 5 kJ type. In May 1984, the front-wheel drive 4-door sedan Carina FF T150 chassis was introduced in addition to the rear-wheel drive sedan range. Coupe, SUV, wagon, and vans were sold continuously. Minor changes also took place, including body-colored bumpers for higher-grade models. In August 1985, the trim levels were changed to shift the sports models, 1600 GT, 1600 GTR, 1800 GTT, 1800 GTTR, into the front-wheel drive range. Rear-wheel drive coupe sales were terminated at the same time. The sedan lineup was now reduced to 1500 standard, DX, SG, and 1800 SG trim levels. SUV and van sales continued as heretofore. Front engine, rear-wheel drive Carinas continued to be produced alongside the new T150 series until May 1988 in SUV, van, and sedan models. Starting from the fourth generation, the Carina shared the Corona's front-wheel drive platform for four-door sedans, differing only in having more angular sheet metal. The Carina RWD platform of the Carina SUV and Carina van continued to use the Toyota A-series platform until 1988. The Carina continued to be exclusive in Japan to Toyota store locations, while the Corona remained exclusive to Toyota store locations. After the Carina platform was realigned to the Toyota Corona T platform, shared with the Celica coupe and hatchback, the rear-wheel drive Carina coupe was cancelled once the Carina ED 4-door coupe was introduced in August 1985. Between the Carina and Corona lines, Toyota expected a 3-to-2 proportion of front-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive models. In May 1984, the Carina FF 4-door sedan, T150 series, was introduced. The styling echoed that of the previous generation, using 4 headlights and grille setup. The upper trim level model has aerodynamic headlight option. Rather than replace the entire lineup all at once because sales of the previous generation were still good, Toyota gradually introduced the replacement van and wagon models in stages. The 1800 cubic centimeters engine has electronically controlled distributorless ignition, and a 2000 cubic centimeters diesel is added. Other 1600 cubic centimeters EFI 4A LU engine, and a carburetor is used on the 1500 cubic centimeters with 3A LU type engine. The 1800 SE models were still offered. August 1985, the sport model 1600 GT, 1600 GTR, and 2000 GTR were added to the lineup. All with twin-cam engines, they received the T160 chassis code. The 1.6S use the 4A GELU engine while 2 liters use the 3S GELU engine. The sport models had altered chassis, also the wheels were upgraded from 4 lug nuts to 5. May 1986, had minor changes to the entire range. The design of the grille and tail lights was changed. Due to the success of the 1800 SE trim level, the similarly equipped but smaller engine 1500 SG Extra was added. The Toyota Carina ED was a Japanese compact car created in 1985 as a companion to the 1984 Carina sedan. It was positioned as the 4-door Celica coupe and stepped in when the Carina hatchback coupe was discontinued. The Carina ED ushered in a new direction for the styling and appearance of Toyota products. It gave Toyota store dealerships an alternative to buyers who desired the luxury of the larger Toyota crown-pillared hardtop without the tax obligations of a car that exceeded Japanese government regulations for vehicles larger than the compact class. Its design sought to emulate the hardtop styling of large American and European sedans, resulting in a small, low cabin with longer front and rear ends. The ED was a genuine hardtop and was not installed with a B-pillar connected to the roof. ED is the initials of exciting and dressy. This generation was released in May 1988. The exterior sheet metal received rounded contours, as was in line with the fashionable design of products at that time. The surf, wagon, and van versions also underwent a full model change to bring them in line with their siblings. 4S Phi is an 1,800 cubic centimeters engine type, 1,600 cubic centimeters of the 4AGE and the specification for higher power higher cam 4A FHE car, 1,500 cubic centimeters of the 5AF type, 2,000 cubic centimeters diesel 2C. The 3E engine was fitted to the 1,500 cubic centimeters van, which was also available with the 2,000 cubic centimeters diesel 2C engine. In December 1988, a full-time all-track AWD system with a center differential was added to the sedan, chassis code at 175. The 1,587 cubic centimeters 4A Phi is the only engine available for this new AWD model. In August 1989, the G Limited with the high-performance and high-compression 4AGE engine is added. It has 140 PS, 103 kilowatts. In May 1990, only minor changes. The Toyota emblem in the back is changed to a bright tail lamp lenses bulging from 3 places and was changed from the previous split design. The front of the van was not changed. The previous generation was a petrol engine and is still using the 1,800 cubic centimeters the 4S Phi, 1,500 cubic centimeters with a 5A Phi type. For the front-wheel drive vehicle 1,600 cubic centimeters 4A FHE the horsepower is increased from 105 to 110 PS, 77 to 81 kilowatts, 104 to 108 HP. 4WD vehicles are still equipped with the 4A Phi type. Surfwagon 2,000 cubic centimeters 2C has been changed to a diesel, CT170G type. It could be fitted with a driver side airbag as an option. Wagons and commercial vans were sold until March 10, 1992, when they were replaced with the Caldina. European versions included a 4-door saloon, 5-door hatchback, and a station wagon. They came with either the 1.6L 4A Phi or the 2.0L 3S Phi engine. Earlier models were very basic, and the biggest differences were interior and the presence of a tachometer. In late 1989 the top models had huge upgrades, getting electric mirrors, electric windows, central locking, heated front windscreen, and updated trim. The restyled second generation was introduced 1989 and luxury equipment content increased. Four-wheel steering appeared on the top level offering and styling was updated more closely resemble the Corona E11V. Electronic fuel injection was made standard on all engines offered. The sixth generation Carina appeared in August 1992 and was only available with a 4-door sedan body style, while the 5-door van/wagon models were replaced by the new Caldina. The size was also bigger than the previous model. Most of the 1.5, 1.8-liter DOHC petrol engines from the previous generation were available in this generation. 2.0-liter petrol and diesel engines with 4WD system were also available. A facelift came in August 1994. The old 1.8-liter 4S FE engine was replaced by the newly developed 1.8-liter 7A FE engine. This generation was discontinued in 1996. The 7th generation Carina was limited to a sedan version produced only for the Japanese market. The car shared few similarities with its sister model the Corona Premio, which was marketed in some Asian countries. The T190 model inherited the system as the basic platform. In 1996, along with the base TI model, 1500cc 2200cc, a sports GT version was introduced with the 5 valves per cylinder 4AGE blacktop engine and 5-speed C56 manual transmission. Beginning in 1998, the GT was equipped with a 6-speed C160 manual transmission. The station wagon/commercial van was no longer offered, having been replaced by the Toyota Caldina, and Toyota offered the Toyota Ipsum, a 5-door wagon in the style of a MPV as an alternative. The Ipsum offered front-wheel drive, with optional AWD, borrowed from the Caldina. Besides, the rare 4WD model SIST215, equipped with 3S FE engine and Optitron instrument panel existed. Suspension parts was shared with the Caldina ST215 4WD. Front and door panels, seats, and the instrument panel of the T210 Corona Premio was shared with the Carina. With the new Corona Premio, Toyota's first collision safety body GOA was adopted. The 7A FE engine was a lean-burn type 1.8-liter engine, the 5A FE was 1,500 cubic centimeters, and the 2CTE series was equipped with a 2,000 cubic centimeters turbo diesel. The 1,600 cubic centimeters version of the lean-burn 4A FE engine was no longer offered. A GT Sports version was based on the AT210 model. The engine was shared with the top-of-the-line AE111 Corolla 11 and Toyota Sprinter Trueno, a high-revving 4AGE producing 165 PS and redlining at 8,000 RPM, known as the Blacktop. The GT spec came with an optional manual transmission found in the AE101 AE111 Corolla 11/Trueno of that period, which was a 5-speed manual transmission, C56 transmission series. In 1997, a limited model equipped with few extra features was introduced, known as the GT Pierna. This was the only Carina GT version to be offered in black. August 1998 brought minor changes in design. The headlamps and tail lights were given a makeover for a refreshing look and feel. Slight alterations were also made to the bumpers. The 2,000 cubic centimeters diesel engine of the TI model was increased to 2,200 cubic centimeters. The GT model was distinguished by the front grille where, instead of the Carina emblem in the middle, the letters GT were placed in red, black, and nickel. In addition, the GT was equipped with the same 6-speed short-shifter manual transmission as the Corolla 11/Trueno C160 series, which came with a limited slip differential, LSD. The diameter of the disc brake was increased and the wheel diameter was increased to 15 inches. Tire size for the stock GT was 195/55 R15. Along with the front strut bar, reinforcements to the rear part of the vehicle were added to bind the left and right rear sash to a support and the rear back head. These came stock and were aimed to improve overall stiffness and handling of the vehicle. The GT version came with a stylish stock front bumper body kit, side skirts and rear bumper spoilers and an optional large rear spoiler. A darker sporty fabric was used for the upholstery to match the sporty and aggressive appeal of the vehicle. In December 2001, production of the Carina ended after 31 years. In 1984 in Europe, the Corona was rebadged as the Carina 2. This continued with the new model introduced in 1988 and, subsequently, the Carina E introduced in 1992, which was also a Corona. The so-called Avensis replaced the European Carina range in 1997. Thank you for watching this video.